G'day everybody, Rally Darkstrike here. You joined me in Riverport, Nova Scotia, and just about to head home, but thought on the drive home that I'd have sort of a little chat about some of my thoughts on electric vehicles. So bear with me while we get underway, and we'll have a chat. So, thoughts about electric vehicles. I sort of have no doubt that they're going to be the future of driving because that's the direction everybody seems to be going. But I just got a few sort of thoughts and negatives and positives with some variations of them and what have you that I thought I'd talk about today. And one of the big ones that sort of sticks in my head is the big argument between pure battery electric EVs. So for example, the Chevy Bolt, or the Tesla or the Porsche Taycan, versus hydrogen electric cars. To me, hydrogen electric cars are the better option, personally, and I'm looking at things like infrastructure and charging time. For electric vehicles, pure electric vehicles, obviously the infrastructure needs to change. We have to add a lot of charging stations for vehicles to be able to charge up. And one of the big things with EVs is most people need to have a charging point at home, which, I mean, you can charge on a regular outlet, but the charge time is going to be ridiculously long. So you need to at least have like a 240 volt outlet or a actual charging station to get fast charging. Getting an outlet installed is not that expensive, but it's still a cost. And getting a charging station installed is a expensive cost. The other thing with battery electric EVs, and I should mention, by the way, I'm not hating on EVs. I know they're sort of the way things are going forward, and I'm fine with them, but these are just my thoughts on things. So to continue, battery electric EVs, charging times take quite a while. Even if you want to fill your battery pack to fairly full, it's going to take you like 15-20 minutes, whereas a gasoline powered car will take you like 3, 4, 5 minutes of fueling up. The other thing with battery electric EVs is range. Range anxiety is obviously a huge thing with any EV, but with battery electric EVs, your range is affected by temperature. So you've got winters, so I live in Canada where it gets cold, nowhere near as cold as other parts of Canada because I live in Nova Scotia, but still cold. You can lose on a pure battery electric EV a crap ton of your range just because it's cold out. You will especially lose range overnight if you don't have your vehicle plugged in, because if it's plugged in, it can maintain heat and keep a bit of a charge in the battery, but if you can't plug it in, you're sort of screwed. Your range is just going to dwindle in the cold overnight or during the day while you're not using it. The other big thing with battery electric EVs is if you live in a city or a town, but especially a city, and you have an apartment, where are you going to charge your car when you're home? If you live in an apartment building with like 100 people, they're not going to add 100 chargers to your apartment building. It's just not financially feasible, nor is it really space feasible, because they can't add a charging point to every single parking spot in the parking lot, because they're going to have to rip up the parking lot, run wires underneath everything, etc., etc. But yeah, that's a very big sticking point. If we switch over to hydrogen EVs, though, hydrogen EVs run on fuel. Hydrogen. Yes, you still have to deal with setting up and maintaining, etc., the infrastructure. Yes, I'm aware that hydrogen takes a lot of electricity, or energy, I guess we'll say, to extract and create as a fuel. But you could use something like energy, how should we say this, an eco-efficient energy option for that. So for example, they could set up like a solar hydrogen plant that runs on predominantly solar electricity. That's a green way to get the energy needed to create the hydrogen. But to go back to the fact that hydrogen EVs use a fuel, it's a fuel. It's like a gas car. You can fill the tank with hydrogen in less time, usually, than it takes to fill a gasoline vehicle with hydrogen. A couple minutes, you're back to max range again. The other plus with hydrogen EVs is you don't have the cold weather range anxiety. I'm sure like a gasoline car or a diesel car, you will lose a bit of efficiency in the winter, but hydrogen doesn't disappear when it's cold. It's still stored in the tank. It's not going to leak out. So you don't really lose any range in a low temperature. Because it's a hydrogen EV, you don't need to plug your vehicle in overnight. Again, the hydrogen's not just going to disappear because you didn't plug your car in. You're still going to have the same amount of hydrogen as when you parked it. So to me, at least from those points, hydrogen makes more sense because it's more like a petrol or diesel powered car in the sense you don't really have to worry about range anxiety as much. As long as hydrogen filling stations exist, you can just, oops, sorry guys, bumped you off my little stand here, which is my dashboard. But yeah, as long as hydrogen filling stations exist, it's like a gas car in that if you're low on range, you just go get more, and that's it. You're back to being full again. One downside, though, with hydrogen vehicles, and I'm not sure how true it is these days because we've got a lot better safety technology, but we've all heard about EVs, pure EVs, battery electric EVs catching fire if they've been in an accident. I'm sure the same would be true of a hydrogen EV, and of course, not every battery electric EV catches fire in an accident, but it's possible. Hydrogen electric EVs, well, hydrogen tanks, I'm sure, are built to an incredibly strong standard to be able to survive accidents. But hydrogen is an explosive fuel, so they're not really common enough for me to know whether that aspect of them really works or not. Are they any more safe or any less safe in an accident? I'm not sure. The other thing with battery EVs, that I just thought of is I'm trying to go through the mental list I'd come up with in the past in my head, but battery degradation. Batteries will slowly fail over time as they get worn and worn and worn and worn. So unless your manufacturer develops a system or develops the car specifically to have the battery pack swapped out, to get it to replaced may not be possible depending on how the vehicle is designed, or it will be prohibitively expensive to replace your battery pack with another battery pack. And EVs have very little maintenance, so I mean, short of like brakes and your regular fluids like windshield washer fluid and stuff, there's not much to go wrong with them. So theoretically, they're more durable in a lot of ways than an ICE vehicle is, and should be able to go for lots more kilometers. I know that the degradation isn't actually that bad because there are people using Teslas as taxis, and they've got like 600,000 or some ridiculous amount of kilometers, I seem to remember reading, and the batteries have really degraded only a little bit. But I guess my point is they still degrade. If it's a hydrogen EV, the way they usually work is you've got the hydrogen generator and the hydrogen tank, and then you do have to have a smaller battery that stores the electricity after it's been generated from the hydrogen. So yes, I'm sure those batteries can still degrade as well, but in theory, because they're a smaller battery, they can more easily be designed to be swapped out and replaced by a newer battery. So that's kind of another plus to me that a hydrogen electric car might have. So, I don't know. It's just one of those situations where battery EVs seem to be the cars that everyone is going for. But to me, just going on those points that I just mentioned, and I'm not an EV I'm not super knowledgeable about them, but just going on those points that I've thought of, they just seem to make more sense to me. So yeah, I'm just kind of offering my thoughts on that whole situation. Maybe I'll think of some more down the road and post another video, but those are kind of the ones that have been rattling around in my head for a while I'm reading all of these articles online about the new EVs coming out, like the Taycan, or how hydrogen vehicles don't seem to be as common and all this sort of stuff. So yeah, anyway, I'll leave you with that. And if you have any thoughts, or if you want to comment on anything that I got wrong or that I don't know about, or that I said that is completely and utterly wrong in every conceivable way, to the point that you want to yell at me, feel free to post a comment below. I don't post videos very often, but if you kind of don't like this, if you kind of do like this one, feel free to like and subscribe to my channel, and when and if I ever post videos, you will get the notification. So yeah, we'll see you later, and have a good one. Cheers.